Take those off.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Sports and Songs Podcast. We're on season 5, episode number 42. Andy, how are you tonight?
Doing good. How about you?
Good. It's August 22nd. This is the Songs edition. We're going to do an album review, talk about concerts, tours, music, album releases, all sorts of musical stuff. And then September is going to roll around and we're going to go into a September soundtrack mode. We're going to just focus the entire month of September on Thursday nights for our show, various soundtracks. But tonight, Andy, we've only done it once before, The Cars.
There they are.
This album, let's get the banner here out of the way. The album, here we go. The album's called Shake It Up. It's the 4th studio album by The Cars. And Andy, Wikipedia calls them the American New Wave band called The Cars.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts?
I don't like the title for New Wave for them, but they were a great buffer of rock and roll between the disco and the hair bands and the hard rock, the changeover there.
Yep.
They fit that nice little, also they weren't disco and they weren't a hair band. They were just good old rock and roll. Couldn't call them rock and roll because that was supposed to be dead. So,
yeah, the genre here on the page says this is considered new wave or dance rock or pop. I would agree
dance rock or pop. I'll give it that. But
yeah, I give it that. It's kind of it's electro or electronic music like you see nowadays. It's all digital. Kind of had a lot of that with the keyboards going back then. But
I think the keyboards would give it that new wave title.
They all had good, catchy songs on these albums. So this was released 1981, and so they were signed to Elektra, and their producer is Roy Thomas Baker, who was assigned to do the Cars' first 4 albums. And I think that's really what helped them also, because he was a big name producer. The Cars were a band out of Boston, kind of on the light, soft rock, kind of catchy pop, bubblegum stuff. But you bring in a producer like Roy Thomas Baker, who's been around. The guy's still alive, by the way.
Yep.
Really helped out these guys with a really clear, clean production. It was a much more pop-oriented album than its predecessor, and its title track became the band's first Billboard Top 10 single. So Shake It Up became a Top 10 single, their first one. Spin Magazine includes this on their 50 best albums of 1981. Well, that's obviously very easy to do for 1 year.
Right.
There's a lot of albums in 81, but they're 50 best. I have no complaint there. It probably would be the top 20, I'm guessing. But top 50 for just 1981, that's a very easy thing to say. So the critical reception, there were some negative things saying on some of the reviews says this was an understated and decidedly underwhelming package that makes no attempt to deviate from their patented semi-robotic pop. That's kind of a slam. These songs are all very good. Do they start to sound the same? Yes. Rick Ocasek was asked that at one point and says, yes, we've worked very hard to get this sound. This is the sound that we want. The Boston Globe called this album a conservative, cautious work that breaks no new ground. Also, I think a very harsh for the Cars. There's 9 songs in this album. They're all very good. There's 2 vocalists. It's crisp and sound good, car driving, cruising kind of songs. I did not have this in my collection. I'm not a big Cars fan. I do respect their music. How about you?
Yeah, Heartbeat City, we did that for that. I still think Heartbeat City is one of the best albums of the 80s. That's just me personally. The sad thing is, I think it's a great album. I never owned it. But the Cars were always one of those bands, like you hear them coming up on the radio, you stick around and listen to it. Or you'll turn it up if you hear they're coming up next,
Yeah, interesting. I agree.
Did I own them? Like I said, no. But I friends of mine always had Heartbeat City as an album. I said, hey, we're going somewhere. Grab that tape. We'll play it in the car as we're going.
It's
so
an album. It's a cassette. Heartbeat City was a cassette you can throw in, and everyone in the car would like it. No one would say, "No, I don't like that. I'm not a fan of that." Throw it in.
And it doesn't matter what song you're at either.
Girls are going to like it. Guys are going to like it. They're all going to like it. And that was 1984. That went really well. So this was 81. Still some good songs, but they really went big on the Heartbeat City. Now, they released, of the 9 songs, 4
Yep.
were released commercially on the air. And so we'll get to these. I'll mention it, which ones here as we
Yep.
go through the track listing. Since You're Gone, that's their first track. That was the second one released. Rick Ocasek does the vocals there. I'll mention each one of these. Since You're Gone was their second released song. Good song. Next song is Shake It Up, the title track. That was their first one they released, November 1981. Rick Ocasek on the vocals. That was their first single released. The song you might know is song 3, I'm Not the One. Never released. But Andy, this was on the Billy Madison soundtrack.
Never saw it.
Now,
Never
for
saw a
those who
movie,
like
never
Billy
heard it.
Madison, that movie, this got some huge airplay and exposure.
I knew the
That
song
we-
from this album, but not that movie.
Yes, very interesting. And, I didn't know that until I put this together. Rick Ocasek does that song as well. But I'm Not the One got a lot of thumbs up and never was released. And a lot of people know that song. Song 4 is Victim of Love. Victim of Love. This was the
That's
third.
an original. There's not a remake. There's a lot of songs in that era called "Victim of Love." This is not
Yes.
that.
And so this was the third single they released. This came out in
It's not the Eagles version, if that's what you're thinking.
1982. Yes, yes. And then the final song, Cruiser, vocals. Benjamin Orr does the vocals here. Never was released. A lot of people love this song because it was a cruising song down the
Yep.
streets, right? You rolled the windows down in the 80s and you cranked this song. Any thoughts on this song from you?
It was a good car song. A good, pardon the pun of the cars, but in the car driving song, yes. And I like Orr as a singer. Drive from Heartbeat City is one of the few songs of his they've actually ever released. So, but yes, he is a very good singer. Very good song.
Yes, yes.
I like, yes.
And then so Benjamin Orr, of course, died. Rick Ocasek is dead. The two vocalists are no longer with us, so rest in peace. But Cruiser's a good song. 5 minutes, just a cool song. Side 2 was A Dream Away. Ocasek does the vocals here, A Dream Away. Comments on that one said, it sounds very much like an INXS song or Lou Reed.
I get Lou Reed, yeah.
Okay. Next song is This Could Be Love. Vocals by Orr, not released, but very famous song because folks said it always sounds like a Halloween song, a song that should be released in a movie of a horror film.
I don't know if that's a compliment or an insult, I guess.
Well, I think it's because of the keyboards. I think it had really cool, kind of creepy keyboards work there by Greg Hawkes, and he was a co-writer on that song. So a very good song, but it's got enough of a strangeness about it that I saw the comments that people like to play that at Halloween. Song 8 is the song Think It Over. Now, this was released, but it's a Benjamin Orr vocal that was released, but not until song release number 4, way at the bottom. The last song released from the album, Orr Gets No Love. They dropped this in. It doesn't do, I don't think I remember even hearing this song.
It's an okay song. Yeah, I like it.
And then finally, it wraps up with Maybe Baby with Rick Ocasek, not released. Ocasek on the vocals. 9 songs. Ocasek does 6 or does 3. The entire album, 40 minutes, 42 seconds, released on Elektra. What's your thoughts, Andy, as far as the music involved here?
It is, like I said, it's good album. A lot of their stuff for the cars. Again, anyone there's you get, for us back in the day, you get the cassette and put it in. It doesn't matter where it picks up on the cassette or lets off where you left off. You just let it go. I think everybody had those certain tapes you put. It's like, oh wait, no, I gotta start getting a side 2, then I'll go. No, this whenever you put it in, it was fine.
Yeah, some of the comments I read on the YouTube for the album was that when this album came out, the LP, the physical album came out, that this is one that you would play front to back. You'd play that. You play both sides,
or back to front, as we refer to.
And some said that they really favored side 2 over side 1 because of the tunes. Now that I thought was interesting.
And you could say that because side 1 had the 2 big released songs, so you hear them on the radio all the time.
Okay.
So when you're at home, then therefore the side B is a little easier to listen to, or side 2.
But 40 minutes, the time goes by really quickly. All songs are very easy to listen to, enjoyable. Here's the personnel: Rick Ocasek, rhythm guitar and vocals; Benjamin Orr, vocals and bass; and Elliot Easton, lead guitar. Very underrated. Do you have any thoughts on him?
He is an underrated guitarist. I mean, not a rock guitarist, no, but just with the rhythm and everything, he was so smooth and not real bluesy, not real rock and roll. He just knew his role, he knew his part, and that kept the band going. Rick did play some guitars as he did lead singing. If Benjamin was singing on the bass, a lot of times when the bass player is singing, it's not real bass heavy. So he helps pick it up with some other guitar work. So it's pretty good.
Okay. David Robinson on the drums and Greg Hawkes on keyboards. And the sound with the Cars, like I said, is the keyboards. Very influential on all the songs. Very prominent on all the songs is the keyboards. And that's where they make their electronic sound. That's where it comes with the pop, the easy to dance to kind of stuff.
Made them a little different, yep.
Made them a little different. They were not rock. They were not heavy, but gals like the Cars, guys like the Cars. It's very easy listening music. That's all I've got for the Cars. I think this one went platinum. They all went platinum, I believe, although the Heartbeat City was the biggest seller of them. This was still pretty good. I just listened to it today. I liked it.
All right, here we go with my 10 cents worth.
Yes.
Here we are. Fastest growing podcast in all of Western Carver County.
Wow.
Prove me wrong on that.
I like it.
Like we said, September 24, we're starting September soundtracks. Now, we've already got 4 picked out, but feel free to drop us other ones that maybe we do a special episode throughout the year of soundtracks, movie soundtracks. We've got 4 picked out, but if we get enough votes for a different one, we can be persuaded. So,
yeah, soundtracks don't really get the love. And some of them get too much love, but there's a lot of good deep tracks on some of these soundtracks. I keep thinking of the Point Break movie with the Rat song. They're one of the best songs that was never released on an album until this soundtrack came along. So one of my favorite songs of all time by Rat. So some of those deep tracks are good. So we're going to focus on those in September.
Spoiler alert, Point Break's not one of them.
Okay.
They are all 4 movies from the 80s, though.
Oh, okay. You've got them picked out. We're ready to go. Okay.
All right, here is some concerts coming up. Church of Cash. I've talked about it before. He's doing the Folsom Prison Experience, where Jay Ebenist, he does Johnny, but he's going to be Johnny Cash in the Tennessee 3. Cat Perkins is going to do June Carter. It's going to be great. There's some of the locations right there. You go to folsomprisonexperience.com to get more tickets information. Also, I know you'll find other stuff coming up. Like I said, he's playing at Medina coming up as Church of Cash. Even if you kind of like Johnny a little bit, you got to go see this show. It's a great show. Not the Folsom one, I haven't seen that, but just the Church of Cash. You need to see them. Rochester, St. Cloud, Duluth, Mankato are the Minnesota sites. Don't be surprised if more are added or if this continues next year afterwards too. So.
Yeah, there's 14 listed there, and that's a good start. But I could imagine as this picks up steam, they'll be adding some more dates because, like I said, you saw them as not Church in the Folsom, but very good. I have not yet seen them, and this would be a good show to see.
And if you go to the Folsom Prison Experience website, you can get, because the idea for this, because he mentioned at the show we were at, the audience, you are the prisoners. It's kind of an interactive play type thing in a way too. You are the prisoners. He's playing for you. You can buy sheriff badges, prison shirts, everything else if you want to really get into it. So
that's fun. It's a good experience. This thing could take off, Andy.
Yeah.
Nothing
and you
like
heard it here first.
Yes, of course.
Theater of Pain, Twin Cities Best Motley Crue tribute. With special guest Rats, a Rat tribute band opening up for him. In St. Michael, Friday, September 27th.
Okay. Okay. Let's get the calendar out here because I did not know there was a Rat tribute band.
They just started up. So they're fairly new.
When is this? What is the date?
Friday, September 27th.
Oh, there it is.
A week from tomorrow.
Okay.
Our friends in St. Michael will have it. So
that I think would be a blast to see. Rat Theater of Pain is good. We've interviewed the guys.
Yeah, we've had Jeff on before. Yep.
We've had Jeff on the show. Theater of Pain, very good Motley Crue This should be good. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Andy. This is good.
That's why we're here.
Yes.
Sir Psycho, the Red Hot Chili Peppers tribute with the Seattle Rain at Nordic Brew Pub, Saturday, September 28th. I'm just filling up that Labor Day weekend for you, Dan. You're driving all over for this.
Well, that is very interesting.
And just when you think you're going to that, now here's another one.
Seattle Rain, very good. I have seen them. Love them.
Def Legend coming back October 26th at Medina. Our friends from Texas.
Yep. Good guys there.
Yeah, they're great. We've had them on before too.
Yeah,
so.
Mike Hamill runs the show there for Def Legend. Very good. Like you say, they're in costume. They put on the show. They act like the players, and they're very good musicians. Good show. And Def Leppard,
highly recommended.
Leppard goes so deep in the catalog that there's old school heavy, there's hard rock, there's fun, there's ballads, there's soft rock, there's hard.
Them pesky kids over. Now we've just mentioned three concerts. We've had three of the people on. Then we have a guy from Seattle Rain on too. I mean, we're all over the place here.
Yeah, Seattle Rain. We've had Shad on the show.
Yeah, so we're 3 for 3 until now. Pantera's Minneapolis club show they recorded it for an upcoming live album. So those of you who were at that Pantera show, you're now a recorded artist.
Now that is cool because Pantera was in town for the Metallica first show as the opening act, but they did this
club show,
club intimate setting. Must have been fantastic. And then they later announced that it's been recorded for an upcoming live album. How cool is that?
Yep. Now check this out. We got Dolly Parton love here. In 1976, she wrote Jolene and I Will Always Love You on the same day.
We've never had her on the show.
No, not when I was awake. I dreamed of having her on the show.
Think of this now. Just think, same day.
Now you've heard of bands saying, "Hey, this week we wrote an album," or within a month she wrote arguably two of her 5 greatest songs ever in one day.
That's the next level right there.
That's Dolly Parton though. So
that's great. That's a good. Could that be a trivia question? I suppose it could be.
Well, yeah. Sad news report: Greg Kihn has passed away. He had the song Jeopardy. He passed away at the age of 75 this last week.
I like some of his stuff. Yes,
Greg Kihn, the Greg Kihn band back in the day. And also, Jack Russell passed away, lead singer of Great White. We were going to mention it with other things on the show where he just all said, "Hey, I got to stop touring. Health's not the greatest." And then a week later, he passed away. So he was in it right to the very end. The tributes for him coming out were left and right. Just awesome guy, awesome guy, awesome guy.
Russell goes way back and is one of those guys. I wouldn't call him a Mount Rushmore of rock musicians, but one of the founding fathers, I would say, of rock music. I mean, just goes way back.
And the sad thing is Great White's known for their one song, or best known for Once Bitten, Twice Shy, which is a cover song, which is so sad because they had so many other great songs. And everybody knows
they never got the respect as far as the deep cuts, the regular cuts on their albums are some of their best songs.
Yeah.
They get known for, kind of
the one cover that
one time
they did a good job on, don't get me wrong, but
sure.
They did so many others that they didn't release, but
a lot of albums these guys have done. And he's been around for years working with so many other things, other groups as well.
And with that said, his band will continue on as Once Bitten, celebrating the music of Great White. So they will keep going, the band members.
Okay.
And one guy who filled in for him in Great White when he left. They're going to continue on. So that's kind of neat.
And those, once again, would all be good songs too. You'd go and you'd be surprised of how many songs you would know of the band.
Right. Yep. Now we're going to go back here. Usually use the way back logo here of Sherman and Mr. Peabody on the sports parts, but
Sherman.
We talked about cassette tapes, Dan.
Yes.
The first CD player, a Sony CDP-101, was released in the U.S. in 1983 at the tune of around $750. First music album on CD was Billy Joel's 52nd Street.
Oh. So, Billy Joel was in the era when this was all happening, when there was 8-track tapes.
Yep.
Hitting heavy, cassettes, everything was moving fast, but they were in this middle of this change going on.
Yeah.
And boy, That would make sense. Billy Joel, 52nd Street was the first CD, music CD.
Music fact number 105. This is not my number, someone else's number. REO Speedwagon guitarist Gary Richarath was inspired to write In Your Letter, 1980, based on a real-life incident. At the end of the tour, fellow band member Neil Daughtry came home and found a letter from his wife on the kitchen table informing him that she had left him for another man. The other man turned out to be the band's dealer. Toddy responded to the letter saying, I'm going to really miss that guy.
I've never heard this. The band's dealer.
Yeah, they're a dealer. You got homework, Dan.
Oh, okay.
Is that you're getting off with nothing? You got homework this weekend.
Pen and paper handy here.
Okay, Billboard's 10 greatest rock lead singers of all time. They're wrong, first of all.
Well,
now some of these here, I'm just gonna get my critiques out here. And if I loot, and I'm not putting anyone down, I'm just saying. And they probably had more than this when I say it, but just hear me out. Kurt Cobain. Nirvana had 2 albums. You are not the number 5 greatest rock singer of all time.
No.
Sorry. You were a great singer. You did great when you did your thing. No. Debbie Harry. No. So there. I said it. Send your hate mail to Andy at sportsandsongspodcast.com.
Now, they're always, when they do things like this, no matter if it's Rolling Stone magazine or Billboard or who does it or who decides it, it's almost to the point of clickbait now, because I just go right to the comments section, because you're never going to win getting a top 10. The comments is where it's at on things like this. You can go,
and we've talked about this before. They show the top 10 greatest rock singers of all time, top 10 guitarists, top 10 bassists, top 10 drummers. You never see a Metallica band member in there at all. Yet they're the number 1 band all the time.
Yeah, it is interesting. Now, these kinds of articles are great for, I'd call it, coffee table or around the water cooler at work. You could discuss things like this, like when the sports issues, the top quarterbacks of all time. You could see the best Super Bowls of all time. You could banter back and forth on this. This is one of those. Now, do they pick some goofy names just to stick a fork in it to get the comment section going? I don't know.
George Clinton was a great singer. If you're into that genre of music, I guess you got to kind of find one from, he was rock, but not really, but yes.
Well, you have to, right off the bat is Chris Cornell.
Yep.
Who's not even on the list. Cobain, I like Nirvana. I'm a 90s guy, but he was not a rock lead singer as far as what this is trying to portray, the biggest top of all time. I don't see just the normal rock and roll guys on here. Ronnie James Dio, of course, has to be on there. So
Ozzy Osbourne's not on that list.
What is this list? What's the purpose of a list like this? It's to get people to talk, people to talk about it. Now, Ann Wilson.
Probably Ann Wilson's not on there.
Probably the top 5, and she's not even anywhere to be seen.
Yeah.
And then you get guys like Bono at the bottom. Axl Rose. All these have fair.
Right. And so where did you draw that line on rock, though? You put Dio in the hard rock category and not rock? Well, if Dio's hard rock and not rock, then Axl Rose is hard rock. So where do you draw that line?
I don't see Stephen Pearcy. I'm kidding. He's very good. Don Dokken. Where's Jack Russell? So you could go on for days on a story like this, but it's good. It's good to see a list like that.
All right. Well, Eric Clapton thought of Stevie Ray Vaughan's playing during his last days. Quote, "The worst thing for me was that Stevie Ray had been sober for 3 years and was at the peak. He had played that night. He had all of us standing there with our jaws dropped." It was Clapton. Now, let's listen to this name of people standing around together, first of all. Clapton, Robert Cray, Jimmy Vaughn, and Buddy Guy. Or else they're watching in awe. There was no one better than him on the planet. Okay, first of all, for me, blues rock guitarists, throwing Stevie Ray Vaughan, those other 4 names. Wow. Okay, the Masters, Buddy Guy, Robert Cray, Clapton, Jimmy Vaughn, C. Ray Vaughan, just to be in their presence of, for those four to say they're watching someone jaw dropping,
Yes.
that's incredible. And that's what I got, man.
Well, it's interesting stuff. They're all good for good discussions. It's good discussions talk.
Yeah,
At the bar, playing
stuff
pool,
the lists and stuff.
shooting pool at a bar, playing, billiards, whatever, pinball. You can be sitting with your buddies and talk about this list for 2 hours. It never gets old. So that's all.
It sure beats the hell out of playing pickleball. I tell you that.
Yes, and so those lists are always you take them with a grain of salt. But I do. Last couple of years, I go right to the comments section and just pick apart because
there's 30 more names down there, and 5 of them you never even thought it was like. Okay,
yes, like, oh yes, I forgot about that. So,
like I said, they say rock singers. So where do you draw that line on rock? What's hard rock? What's pop? What, so where do you draw the line? So I guess if I was going to make that list, I'd want to go, okay, wait a minute. If it was a guy lead singer and he used at least 1 can of Aquanet a day, is he rock or heavy metal?
Wow. But Steven Tyler's not on the list.
Yeah.
But I like that, Robert Plant is there. That's one of the best of all time.
Him and Jagger, I think everybody just, and no offense to those who goes, well, what's up with the greatest bands of all time? Well, the Stones, Zeppelin, really? And half these people that say that, it's like, okay, great. Name me 3 Stones albums. They can't do it. But the Stones are the greatest. They sell out US Bank Stadium at $500 for a crappy seat.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Name me 3 albums. Name me 3 Stones albums.
It gets back into how big of a fan are you? Are you a fan or are you a fan?
Are you a fan of being seen?
Ultimate fan, or are you just there to be seen with the T-shirt on? That there's all different categories of this stuff.
And we could throw Metallica in that same concert or same.
There are heavy metal, over the top Metallica.
They sold out US Bank 2 nights. And how many people there were there to be seen?
And so they opened with Pantera, and they had a different set list. Metallica did.
Yeah, they didn't do the same song on both nights. It was different.
They had a night off, and our friend Chris.
Yep.
From And One for All was seen playing, going bowling with one of the staff of Metallica on their off day on Saturday.
Yeah, and the whole band played. The whole One for All band played at the bowling alley.
They did.
Yep.
Then the next night,
if you follow their social media, you'll see it.
Five Finger Death Punch opened, and Metallica played a completely different set. So now it's I don't want to call it a marketing scam, but it kind of is. They played 2 different sets now to get you, the hardcore fans, to say, I want to go to now both shows.
It's kind of like,
I want to go both.
Making a 3-hour movie, we do an 1.5-hour movie now, and then in 4 months we're going to release another 1.5-hour movie.
So it's money is behind the whole thing, and they come here once and set up once, so their costs are for 1 show.
Right.
They leave it set up, and now they're getting 2 revenues out of it. They're doubling. So there's a lot of business mind thinking behind all this, but then they bring in 2, different opening acts too. So if you're a fan of
Five Finger Death Punch, you went to that one night.
Yes.
And I'm not saying this is a fact, but you go to any concert, it's this way.
Yeah.
I guarantee there's people who went because they want to see Five Finger Death Punch, could give 2 rips asses about Metallica and left after Five Finger.
Sure.
I know people. I don't care who.
That's what you don't hear about those types of.
They'd rather see.
There are.
Yeah, I know. I paid big money to see Five Finger Death Punch, but I love them that much.
Or they'll move to the back and sit in
Metallica
the upper deck and watch Metallica and just work on their phone or not even pay attention because they're fans of the opening.
The traffic out of there.
Yeah, Leopard was in town. Who was the other band?
Journey and Steve Miller.
They played with Steve Miller, Target Field outdoors at the baseball stadium. Twins were out of town, so they dug that up, made that a mess. Now they got to get it all fixed. The Twins are in town tomorrow to play again. But those outdoor concerts, you can pack in so many people, along with First Avenue, indoor concert at US Bank. The city of Minneapolis, I think they projected 150,000 fans were in town for the weekend for those shows. Add them all up.
For the people on city council for Minneapolis who are sitting there going, look at the money we brought in. The same people who hated those long-haired hippies 30 years ago.
Yeah, it's just like
Now they're
Putting
playing
the
our system. Look at
songs-
this great marketing idea we had.
I like that the songs that were banned when we were in high school are the ones played on NFL opening kickoff before every game. It's
Right.
always the same Ozzy songs.
Yeah.
Motley
Welcome to the
Crue,
Jungle
Ozzy
for-
Osbourne were the songs that are all played at all the sporting events now and bowed down to, that you couldn't get played without people raising.
Everybody hated D.
An
Snyder. We're
eyebrow
not going
issues
to take
back
it,
in the
but
day.
what every TV show, every commercial, every whatever wants that song on there.
Oh my gosh, it is funny, but that
Catches
is
that
what
check
it
with a
is.
big smile every Friday too.
It's true. That's all we've got for this today. We've got one more episode on Thursday next week for album review. Then we get into this September soundtracks.
All right, that's what we got.
See you next week.